What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Going the Distance MMA. Today we've got betting and predictions for the main card of LFA 226. This is a quick five-card breakdown. CJ, high-level thoughts on this card?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, not the craziest card. Definitely the past LFA event we broke down was probably a little bit better, but I mean, MMA on a Friday night, you love to see it regardless. So looking forward to it.
Should be fun. To open the card, the main card rather, we have a heavyweight fight between Ben Wonder and Charlie Cleveland. Ben Wonder at minus 110, Charlie Cleveland the same. What do you got here?
Yeah, so I guess we could start on the Wonder side. I did think pre-flop, like before I looked into anything, this fight would be close just because it's low level regional scene heavyweights, and I believe has a fight in LFA in the first place. So I do understand why the line is pick'ems, even though he's only 0-1, and he lost to Matt Adams, who we broke down previously. I think in the last LFA event we did. And yeah, he showed like decent takedown defense in the beginning of that fight, but as it got extended in the first round, he got taken down and pounded out. But Matt Adams isn't a horrible grappler, isn't a horrible fighter by any means. So like, I definitely expected Wonder to struggle there. He's just like a striker, low level heavyweight striker. Um, and yeah, like a ton of quick KO wins on the regionals. Like I mean, on his amateur career, a bunch of KO wins early in his career. I just think he's like a banger. And by the way, the measurements are off for. I think his height's off. I don't think is he only 5'11"?
I'm not sure
He's
the
way
height,
bigger
but
than
I
that.
know the weight is correct.
Yeah, okay. I think he's. Why do I think he's like 6'4"? Could that be wrong? All right, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. But yeah, so I mean, he's just your typical heavyweight striker, good power, like throws decent enough kicks for his size. Like for a big man, he does get his kicks up there. But again, he hasn't fought the highest level of competition. Charlie Cleveland, on the other hand, just not super impressed with him. Like I've seen him try to grapple in some fights, but it's not great grappling. It's just like he tries to get like a body lock or get in on the legs and to get takedowns, but it's not like crazy technical. I don't think he's the strongest guy. I don't think he's the most athletic guy. And in the RJ Harris fight, his only professional loss, who Wonder actually beat on his amateur career, I believe, he just looked terrible. Like he couldn't get him out of there early. He looked decent like the first 2 minutes of the fight and then just completely fell off. And when Harris got on top of him, it was pretty much an insta tap. So for that reason, I probably will just take Wonder. I think he's got more power and the better striker. What do you think?
I did fall on the Wonder side as well. For Wonder, you have a guy 2-1, wins and loses both by KO. That loss to Matt Adams, as you said, shucked some good takedowns early, looked good. Then got taken down and pounded out. So 0-1 in LFA, 7-0 in the amateur run, all knockouts. So pretty impressive there. Like you said, seems pretty solid on the feet. Good speed for heavyweight, solid power, fairly dynamic too. He had some head kicks I saw on some tape, some big elbows. In his fight against Quentin Campbell, he went for a rear naked choke, so it seems like he may have that asset to his game. Perhaps he just hasn't shown it at the end of a fight in a result. He did get taken out by Quentin Campbell and Matt Adams, so that could definitely be a weakness that we see here. I think that his cardio over 3 rounds could be an issue if it gets there. He hasn't gotten there in the past, so it's kind of just an unknown. He hasn't looked good in the fights that has gone later, so he does certainly look like he could slow down. For Charlie Cleveland, 4-1, wins all three ways, loses by sub. He is on a 2-fight win streak. This is his LFA debut, and he was 4-0 in his amateur career. All those wins coming by finish. Definitely a smaller heavyweight, as you can see, only coming in at 231 pounds. He's definitely going to give up size here. He is in pretty good shape, I will say, but definitely going to give up some size here. I did see some solid takedowns and some solid control. Good get up against Cam Graham, a guy who's about 30 pounds heavier than him. He got up when Cam was directly on top of him, like get up Derek Lewis style, like just stood right up, which was pretty impressive. He was taken down several times in that fight, though, so not a great look, but definitely more proven cardio than Ben Wonder. He's been 3 rounds and he's looked okay going 3 rounds at a very slow pace, but at least he has been 3 rounds. Somewhat of a dynamic striking ability as well. In a fight against RJ Harris, that other undersized heavyweight, he had a good head kick in that fight. So definitely some good dynamic striking. Maybe it wasn't RJ Harris. I think it was the other undersized heavyweight. It may have been. Either way, my prediction for this fight is that against two heavyweights, both who haven't yet gotten a win against someone who I would deem to not really be a can. Biggest thing here for me is the size difference. 256 versus 231. That's a big difference. Both these guys are fairly quick on the street. I'm sorry, on the feet, but I think there's a pretty good power advantage here for Ben Wonder. I think there's some weakness here for Ben Wonder in the takedowns, But someone that's been able to get past that, or I'm sorry, exploit that, has been Matt Adams, who's this giant guy with a great wrestling background. Charlie Cleveland is 30 pounds lighter, and with a less less renowned wrestling background. So I think he could have trouble getting those takedowns, and if he does, he's in trouble here. My prediction is a round one knockout for Ben Wonder. I think he may just take one or two failed takedown attempts here from Charlie Cleveland for Ben Wonder to catch him. And when he does, I think it'll probably be lights out. So I like the Wonder money line play. I was hoping for a little more plus money, but we'll take minus 110. And I do like the under in a parlay. It may end up coming to 1.5. Either way, I don't hate it. But I think the under should hit, and hopefully Ben Wonder comes through. This next fight, strawweight women 115. This is Mackenzie Stiller at minus 470 versus Kendra McIntyre at plus 370. This fight, Mackenzie Stiller 5-1, wins by submission. Her one loss by knockout, 2-0 in the LFA, 2-1 in Bellator. Two fight submission streak as well. 4-0 in her amateur run, all submissions. She was KO'd by Sumiko Inaba, who is solid. Sumiko did just get beat up by Dakota Ditchova over 3 rounds, but still a solid opponent for sure. Not as dominant on the feet as she is on the ground and in the clinch. She got outstruck, or she was getting outstruck by Brador in her last fight, a fighter who was a bit taller and lankier. Stiller obviously did get the takedowns and did get the win, but up until that point, she was getting touched pretty good on the feet. Great judo trips, great submissions, great jiu-jitsu, nasty arm bars, nasty Americanas, nasty chokes, good ground and pounds, elbows. So as soon as she gets to a clinch, that's exactly where you don't want to be. Kendra McIntyre on the other side, 3-2, wins by decision and knockout, loses by knockout in her last fight. That was her other loss was by DQ, so I kind of overlooked that. So her one real loss is by knockout. 2-2 in LFA. A solid striker on the feet offensively, which makes this a little interesting. I think that defensively on the feet, she leaves something to be desired. She's a little bit open when she throws on the feet. She got countered by Montero in her last fight a lot. She also wears that damage pretty quick. Good knees to the body, a really freakishly strong tie clinch. Some takedowns, some back takes, some chokes of her own. She attempted them, never finished them though. She had a really insane head kick knockout against Legareta in one of her last fights. However, I will say, terrible opponent. I watched that fight. I don't think that girl should have been in the cage. So while it was a nasty head kick knockout, I don't put much stock into it. For this fight, my prediction, I think that Stiller is definitely the rightful favorite. Could be a little wide, but the rightful favorite. Stiller's an up-and-coming prospect here. Strong finishing potential, which you have to like at women's 115. Top tier BJJ and judo, really, really top tier. If she gets you down even once, even in the clinch once, you're in trouble. All she needs is the clinch. Not overly impressed with her on the feet. Would probably give the on-the-feet edge to Kendra. But Kendra has shown some defensive gaps where I think it would just take one slip up for Mackenzie to get into the clinch here. Stiller could maybe get flash KO'd somehow, like that Legareta head kick I mentioned, but unless there's some crazy miracle, and Kendra can keep it on the feet and at distance for 3 rounds, I think Stiller probably gets this to the ground, likely gets the submission at some point. I predict round 2. Don't love a side here, but I land on the under 2.5 as another parlay piece to add to your under parlay for this night. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you broke everything down really well. I think to start on the McIntyre side, like you brought up good points about how she's solid in like boxing range, like has good head kicks. She head kicked that poor housewife, who I don't think is a great fighter by any means, but got the head kick, whatever, sick highlight. But I mean, I think her willingness, like you saw her get into clinch scenarios a couple times, and you said she does have good Muay Thai, like good knees. I think like against a girl like Stiller, that's kind of a nightmare with all those like trips, throws, and foot sweeps. Like and again, she has been finished by the girl who fought Ditcheva, like you said. But I mean, she's solid. Like she's way better than Kendra. Like would kill Kendra. And also her last was the Brader fight her last one, the Christina Brader fight. Yeah, she was getting touched up a lot, like you said. But I mean, she was tough. Like she was willing to take a shot to get inside. And once she did hit the sweeps or the foot sweeps and stuff, it was kind of one way traffic. And the Trulillo fight, I think that was the fight before. She has that. She had a nasty setup, like an armbar from like side control, which was good. So I think it's Stiller all day here. But again, you don't love the money line. She's been finished herself. It's pretty. I don't think it's the highest level. I don't think Stiller like long term is the goods, even though they're kind of trying to build her like she is. I just think anyone with like decent enough hips is really gonna make her struggle because her striking defense just isn't it. But yeah, I'll go Stiller. I think she does find us up at some point.
I would agree. Next up, this one should be fun. This is at middleweight 185. We have Andrew Stewart minus 180, Christian Eccles plus 155. What do you think here?
Yeah, so at first I thought it would be Stewart, but like after going into the tape, I don't know. I think he's solid enough. Like I watched his dirty boxing fight where he kind of like stuck to the outside, which obviously it's different rule set. Like his hands looked all right. He had a good straight and jab to the body, like mixes it up to different levels. But I don't know. I don't think he does anything great. Like he has a couple. I think does he have all finishes on his record or am I? No. Three finishes, no submissions. It's him. All right, so he is or three knockouts, no submissions. Sorry. Like I think he will go to the grappling, like has solid enough hips, solid enough takedown defense, will offensively shoot himself, but I don't think he's like a crazy grappler by any means. Um he has three KOs in his professional record. And I don't know. It's hard to get a read on him. I wouldn't play him at chalk here. Like Eccles on the other hand, I actually saw him knock out Pat Downey in person. I was at that card, which is pretty crazy. He pretty much retired Pat Downey from MMA, who's like an unbelievable wrestler if you don't know who that is. And yeah, he's just like a dog. Like if you couldn't tell, he's been finishing all four of his losses. Like he's a killer be killed fighter, solid grappling, like very opportunistic. He had a really nice back take against I think the in the Chris Crosby fight, he had like a solid enough back take, like good on top, opportunistic submissions. And although he doesn't have like a ton of KOs, he does stand in front in trades. Like he will sit down on his punches. Like I said, the Downey fight, which was years ago now, but he sat down, put him down pretty hard with that uppercut, which was crazy. But again, I don't know. This is tough. I feel like it's a very binary fight. Like I don't love Eccles on the feet. I think he's a kind of his striking defense is just a disaster, and he's waiting to get hit. And again, like his last fight, that Brian Jackson dude was like 1-12. Like that was like sanctioned murder. Like of course he's gonna kill that guy. It makes his striking look better than it actually is. So I don't know. I think under, but like I guess gun to my head, Eccles. I just think he might have some sort of submission upside and just causes chaos in all of his fights. What about you?
So this one was weird. Andrew Stewart, he's 5-1. He's 1-1 in his last two, 1-0 in LFA, 4-1 in Aries, and 4-0 amateur. He did just win that DBX fight. KO and decision wins. Not a huge finisher. Never been finished. His one loss is by decision. His last two wins have been against guys who present zero danger on the feet, like guys who just spent their entire time like guard pulling and just getting punched on the ground.
Yeah.
Jonathan Wade, one of them, the other name slipping my mind, but two guys who just presented no threat whatsoever. All that showed is that he has some level of submission defense, maybe, but like other than that, in his recent ones, I've seen absolutely nothing. Besides, he can lay on someone and punch them for 15 minutes. Really not much. There's not much bad to say, but there's really not that much good to say. Christian Eccles, he's 8-4. This is his LFA debut. 1-0 in Bellator, that big Pat Downey KO. That was probably his best win to date. Certainly his best win to date. Won four of his last five. 8-2 since starting 0-2 initially in his career. He has a notable early loss to Trayshawn Gore. He is a finisher, mostly by submission. Gets finished in all of his losses, mostly by knockout. Powerful takedowns, a strong submission game. When he connects on the feet, he has good power. But as you mentioned, and very clearly, as you can see in the Keenan Patrick fight, extremely sloppy on the feet. Super questionable striking defense, kind of just like a flailing, like it's almost like imagine your arms were pinned at like a certain angle and like you could just rotate your hips. Like it's kind of wild to see. It is like as you mentioned, like I will say his striking did look improved in his last. He was fighting an absolute garbage can of a fighter, but I mean it looked at least a little more measured and composed, which is like something to sort of like. I know that he did do a gym switch, so potentially building up that striking perhaps, which is something that needs to happen because my goodness. But this fight, definitely think it's close. I thought the original odds would be wider than they are now, so it definitely makes more sense to see them the way they are now. As mentioned, not much to like from Andrew Stewart's last two wins. He hasn't shown many huge weaknesses, but has improved much. I think Eccles brings more experience, a proven finisher, which I like. Definitely, like, even though it is against a bad opponent, I don't hate seeing that more measured and composed stand-up. Maybe the incredible looking head kicks I don't put too much stock into, but in terms of the composure and the pace, I did like that a lot more. I think Eccles is a step up that Stewart could be ready for possibly. But like I just said, I haven't seen anything for me to think that could be the case. My prediction would be an Eccles round two submission. My angle, I don't hate betting Eccles here at plus money. Definitely don't. Also don't like playing the under. Either way could be the way you take this fight, but I'm excited to watch it either way. Up next, we got the co-main. This is at lightweight 155. We have Dedrick Sanders at plus 175 fighting Nikolai Kiyosei at minus 205. For Dedrick Sanders, you got a guy who's 10 and 5. He's 1-0 in LFA, 1-1 in PFL, won 2 of his last 4. Won all 3 ways and lost all 3 ways. He has notable losses to Terrence McKinney and Jonathan Pierce, both UFC fighters. He looks pretty solid on the feet. Technical, powerful, good guard, fairly defensively sound, looks experienced. He fought 2 OV last name fighters in his last 2. A really good fighter in PFL who's now 18 and 4. Zynikov, and a 6-0 finisher in his last fight who he beat by finish, Mavlidov. In the Mavlidov fight, he showed good takedowns and good submission defense. Eventually just, poured it on and managed to get the win there, managed to get the finish. In the fight before that was taken down and controlled by an 18 and 4 Dagestani. So, fair enough. You can't hate on that. Nikolai Kiyosei, 10-3 and 1. He was 3 and 1 in ACA, riding a 3-fight win streak. Win all 3 ways, but mostly by submission. Lost all 3 ways as well. Fought pretty much all Russian comp to this point. All names ending in V on his entire record up to this point. Seems pretty measured on the feet. Snatches up subs fast. In the Gaji Daudov fight, he snatched it on a forward rolling somersault. Hooked the butt with his heels to keep him from rolling over the top and snatch a sub within 6 seconds. Wild. Good takedowns. Good takedown defense. I have seen a couple pocket brawls where Kiyosei has not looked super defensively sound, but that's just about the only negative I can draw. For this one, I'm going to have to go with Kiyosei, especially at the number. I don't mind it. I will definitely say Sanders is not a bad underdog, and both these guys have good experience. Sanders has fought a pretty high level of competition. Both guys are good on the feet, and I would measure them up fairly evenly on the feet. But I think Kiyosei presents that dangerous ground threat with a high finishing potential. And Sanders, in that 2 fights ago in that Zynikov fight, definitely showed his susceptibility to the takedowns. So I'm predicting a Kiyosei round 2 submission. I like Kiyosei's money line here. The under you could do in a parlay as well. Both these guys have some finishing potential. But I am definitely on Kiyosei the favorite here. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree, but I guess we'll start on the Dedrick Sanders side. I think in his last fight, Mavialidov, I butchered his name, I'm sorry. He looked really good, right? That guy was 6-0 with a ton of finishes. He held his own in the grappling, was able to get up. But his cardio looked good in that fight, which is weird because I feel like some fights his cardio looks horrendous. I don't know if you picked up on that, right? It's kind of hit or miss. And that was he was fighting off a lot of attacks and takedowns, and he looked good, and he was able to get on top and get the finish against an undefeated Russian. You love to see that. And the fight, but then I watched the Luis Pena fight, who was a bust in the UFC, right? Wasn't great. I don't think is the craziest level of fighter, and he gassed out pretty bad. He looked good early, but man, he just seemed to slow down, and when he slows down, I feel like his whole game kind of starts to fall apart. But yeah, like you said, he's fought good guys like McKinney KO'd him, Jonathan Pierce cut stoppage. He's been in there with good guys and he's beaten good guys. He's so 50-50 to me. He's 10 and 5 is a little deceiving because he's lost to really good guys, and a lot of them were years ago, back in 2020, 2018. But good power, good enough power, good striking, good guard, like you said, decent enough get up game, but that's if his cardio is there. I've seen it where his cardio is not there and he's just kind of doesn't really look like the same fighter. You know what I mean? Where he's losing to guys he probably should have beaten. And then Kiyosei, on the other hand, is, like you said, really good grappler. He's one of these Russian guys where a lot of his losses were pretty early on, so it's how much stock do you put into that? You see a lot of these Russian guys come over from the UFC and they might have 4 losses and they're all 10 years ago, and even though they've been finished. So it's it's more what have you done for me lately? And it's really good things. Like you said, a lot of these Russian dudes don't necessarily have the submission game of these Brazilians or these Americans. And man, he grabs, like you said, he grabs chokes fast. I think 3 fights ago, he got, in the first round, got a rear naked choke, locked it in quickly. The KO win for the title against the Kazakh guy, I think Nurbek is his first name. Nurbek, he's got a really long name. He looked good. He sat down on that right hand. He's got that combo combat sambo striking style, put him down pretty hard, and followed up shots and was able to get the finish. So I think Kiyosa's like, if Sanders' game plan is to grapple, Kiyosa will make him work for it, and I just don't see him being able to do that over 3 rounds. And then on the flip side, if Sanders tries to force a brawl, like you said, Kiyosa's not the most defensively sound, but I don't think he just gets like smoked, and knocked out. I just don't think Kiyosa will allow that to happen. Not to mention, if he gets some of his own takedowns, I think that's very problematic for Sanders. So I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think under. I think Kiyosa finds a submission at some point.
Seems like we agree here as well. That brings us to our final fight, the main event at middleweight 185. We have David Allakhverdiev versus Joseph Kropschot. Allakhverdiev coming in at minus 330, Kropschot plus 270. What do you think here?
Yeah. So I think the line. Like we were talking a little bit before, I think the line is a little bit wide. Like Kropschot's solid. You know what I mean? Like is someone that's willing to get hit to get into the pocket to get his own offense on, has solid enough takedowns, like especially when it comes to body locks and stuff. Will take the back. But like, is it I think it might be a tough task here for him to get his grappling going. You know what I mean? I think the way David fights, I'm watching too much soccer, sorry. The way David fights, the dart in and out style, like I think that those guys are historically really difficult to find if your objective is to kind of get in on a body lock, you know? And he's shown like solid enough power, like hurting some of let me just pull up his record for the names. Hurting some guys. Like the John Moore fight, the first right hand that landed clipped him real bad, and then the second one just put him out down and out, And in the Ramahi fight, he got the armbar in the second round, so he does have that submission game too. I think that's what's actually pretty underrated from him. Like I don't necessarily think Kropschot will be able to get takedowns, and I also don't think he'll find him at on the feet at like a crazy clip. So it's kind of hard for me to get to the dog personally. I just think David's a little bit more polished on the feet, has the grappling to fall back on. And I think Kropschot has looked to grapple a lot recently, and I just don't see that happening. So I guess I'll just take the cop out and go with the favorite. You probably have a better breakdown than me, though.
This one's tricky. Allakhverdiev has 7-0, 1-0 in LFA. His last win is the only one I really put much stock into, just judging by the record of his opponents. That was a 6-0 opponent he beat by early KO, as you mentioned, just one right hand off the first blitz a minute in. Is a finisher, all wins by finish, mostly submission. He's a round one finishing guy. Haven't seen much tape beyond that round one KO, but again, all other fights were against really crappy competition, so not much to see anyway. Kropschot, 7-3, 1-1 at LFA on a 3-fight win streak. His last, not his last, but he does have a submission to Cody Brundage a couple years back, which is an interesting note.
Yeah.
One of my favorite fighters in the UFC.
The GOAT. We got a Brundage masterclass on Saturday.
Kropschot is a finisher, gets finished in his losses, so live or die by the sword. Fairly measured on the feet. He's a good high guard. He likes to close the distance, get into those body lock takedowns, as you mentioned. Really good body lock takedowns. Consistently got them against Adlon Benson and then got to make it work on the ground from there. For this one, I really want to take Kropschot. I really, really do. I think I just need a little more meat on the bone to get there. I know I'm being picky, but I think I might have to get to 3-1 or better to get on it. As of right now, I like Allakhverdiev, but I'm staring at that line, salivating a little bit. Hopefully, maybe a little later in the week, if that moves a bit, I might get interested. But as of right now, I don't think I can. Definitely got my eyes on him as an underdog, though. For this one, Allakhverdiev, I think, just might be a little too much. I think Kropschot could get caught coming in. He wore that damage kind of rough in the Benson fight. I didn't see many shots there, but he looked not well. That I was beat up after one.
Like car accident.
Really, really, like he seems like he wears damage. I just see him getting caught on the way in. He needs to close. Allakhverdiev doesn't, so I just think he gets caught closing in, probably round one knockout. That being said, like I said, I'm staring at the line and watching. I do like the unders here for your under parlay. You could be heinous and put all 5 fights in an under parlay, depending on if it feeds you 1s or 2.5, depending for which fight. But staring at the Kropschot line, but can't get to the favorite here either. But that does conclude the card. I think from a high level, I think my favorite money line bets, because obviously we all like unders here, like Kiyosa, like Eccles, and like Wonder for me. I'm assuming you are on the same page.
Yeah, so I mean 100% all three, and I do think like the under and the Wonder fight's probably the move. I mean it'll be chalky, but it's heavyweights. I do think he gets the KO, but like I think the under and the Wonder fight and then the under and the Eccles fight. I mean like how wrong could you be, you know? Just the way they match up.
Would have to agree with you there. For anyone who is still watching, we appreciate you making it to the end with us. And if you're
Mhm.
betting this card, enjoy, goodbye, and good luck.